The Unholy Masquerade. In the heart of a city draped in mystery and shadow, a young woman named Sarah arrived, her life forever poised on the precipice of the unknown. She had ventured into this new world, a stranger to its secrets, craving excitement and intrigue. Her longing led her to the enigmatic Count Vladimir, a man who, at first glance, seemed to be the embodiment of charisma and charm. One moonless night, a cryptic invitation to a masquerade ball arrived at her door. The allure of the masquerade beckoned her, promising a night of wonder and enchantment. Sarah couldn't resist the temptation. Draped in a gown of midnight black, her mask concealed her identity as she entered the grand mansion. The ballroom was a sight to behold, bathed in the ethereal glow of 1,000 candles. Masked figures swirled in a graceful dance, their laughter tinkling like forbidden melodies. Count Vladimir, adorned in a blood-red tuxedo, spotted Sarah from across the room. He moved towards her, extending a gloved hand. "Mademoiselle, may I have the honor of this dance?" His voice, like velvet, coaxed her into the waltz. Sarah was mesmerized, drawn into a dance that seemed to defy gravity, as though the entire world revolved around the couple. For a moment, she forgot the haunting allure of the night and its potential dangers. As the music swelled, Count Vladimir whispered sweet promises into Sarah's ear. She was seduced by the enigmatic stranger's charm and grace, his allure wrapping around her like a silken shroud. It was easy to lose herself in the heady atmosphere of the masquerade, swept away by the sensual allure of the night. However, as the night wore on, Sarah began to sense that something was amiss. The revelers' masks concealed not just their identities, but also their true nature. There was an insatiable hunger in their eyes, a hunger that could not be explained by mere desire. Their dance, once graceful, turned into a macabre frenzy of lust and bloodlust. The room darkened, and shadows danced upon the walls, revealing the grotesque reality of the guests. They were not human, they were vampires, creatures of the night who had hidden their fangs behind seductive smiles. Count Vladimir's eyes, once warm and inviting, now gleamed with the crimson hunger that defined his kind. It was a revelation that sent chills down Sarah's spine. She knew she had to escape the clutches of these unholy creatures. With all the strength she could muster, she broke free from Count Vladimir's grasp and fled into the labyrinthine corridors of the mansion. The mansion seemed to have no end, its walls filled with the whispers of the damned. Sarah's breath came in ragged gasps as she stumbled upon an entrance to the catacombs. Desperation led her into the cold, damp underground passages, where the echoes of tormented souls reverberated. As Sarah navigated the eerie catacombs, she could feel their malevolent presence all around her. Her footsteps were matched by the faint scuffling of unseen figures. With each step, her fear grew, and she questioned the wisdom of her choices. But she couldn't go back. She had seen the monsters hidden beneath the masks. In the catacombs, time seemed to stretch endlessly, her sense of reality unraveling. Sarah's eyes widened as she encountered countless coffins and crypts, each bearing the name of a vampire who had hidden their secrets beneath the earth for centuries. The air grew heavier with each step, and the walls of the catacombs closed in on her, as though the very earth sought to consume her. In her darkest hour, when escape seemed impossible, Sarah came upon an ancient, ornate door. A sense of foreboding washed over her, but it was her only hope. She pushed open the heavy door and found herself in a chamber bathed in an eerie, crimson light. Before her stood Count Vladimir, his eyes a dark abyss of hunger and desire. He blocked her only exit, a sinister smile playing upon his lips. The vampire had orchestrated the masquerade, luring Sarah into his web of deception. With no other choice, Sarah confronted the seductive danger she had fallen into. In a desperate bid for survival, she used her wits and a hidden blade concealed beneath her gown. The ensuing struggle was intense, a dance of death in the unholy chamber. As the crimson light flickered and the catacombs echoed with their battle, Sarah managed to land a blow that sent Count Vladimir reeling. With newfound strength, she dashed for the exit, her heart pounding in her chest. Sarah emerged from the catacombs, gasping for air. The dawn was breaking, and the vampire's power was waning. With the first light of day, the monsters that had haunted the masquerade scattered like shadows, returning to their crypts to await another night. Sarah had survived the unholy masquerade, but she was forever changed. The seductive danger of the unknown had nearly claimed her life, leaving her with a haunting memory that would never fade. She vowed to share her story as a warning to those who might be tempted by the allure of the supernatural, for the price of indulgence could be far more treacherous than they ever imagined. As Sarah stepped into the emerging daylight, she knew that the night had left its mark on her, a mark that would serve as a reminder of the unholy masquerade and the seductive danger that lurked in the shadows. Shadows of the past. The town of Blackwood had always existed under a veil of perpetual darkness. Its history was shrouded in mystery, and whispers of the supernatural hung heavy in the air. Detective James Harker knew better than to dismiss these tales as mere folklore. The town's secrets were darker and more twisted than anyone could imagine. Blackwood was plagued by a series of gruesome murders, the likes of which had never been witnessed before. Bodies drained of blood were discovered, their pale faces contorted in agony. The townsfolk lived in fear, staying indoors after sunset, for they believed that creatures of the night roamed the streets. Vampires. Detective Harker was a seasoned investigator, but even he had his doubts about what he was getting into. The task of unraveling these macabre mysteries had fallen upon his shoulders. He delved deep into the history of Blackwood, hoping to unearth any clues that would lead him to the fiend responsible for the murders. As he pored over old documents and interviewed the few remaining elders, he discovered a disturbing legend that had been passed down through the generations. Blackwood had once been home to a powerful vampire covenant. These vampires had forged a sinister pact that granted them immense power, but it came at a cost. The covenant thrived on the blood of the town's inhabitants, exacting a terrible toll. Detective Harker couldn't help but wonder if the covenant had somehow been reawakened. And if so, who among the town's residents had become their bloodthirsty agents? It was during his investigation that Harker crossed paths with Eliza, a mysterious woman who had recently come to Blackwood. She was unlike the others, appearing human, but Harker sensed an otherworldly presence about her. She seemed to hold secrets that could be the key to solving the murders. Eliza was willing to cooperate with the detective, offering information about the town's dark past and the existence of the vampire covenant. She revealed that she was a vampire herself, but not one of the malevolent kind. Eliza had turned her back on her bloodthirsty nature and sought redemption for the sins of her past. Together, Detective Harker and Eliza embarked on a treacherous journey to uncover the sinister secrets of Blackwood. The town was steeped in a pervasive darkness, one that threatened to consume all who dared to challenge it. Their investigation led them to a hidden chamber deep beneath the town, a place of dread and despair. It was there that they discovered the ancient covenant's records, detailing the atrocities committed by the vampires in exchange for their unholy power. The revelation sent shivers down Harker's spine as he realized the magnitude of the evil they faced. Their pursuit of the truth led them to a deadly confrontation with the vampire elders, the last remaining members of the covenant. These ancient vampires had a thirst for power and a thirst for blood. The battle was fierce, with Harker and Eliza fighting for their lives against creatures who had thrived on darkness for centuries. In the midst of the chaos, a revelation came to light that sent shockwaves through their world. Eliza was not just any vampire. She was the descendant of the Covenant's founder. Her bloodline was entwined with the Covenant's dark legacy. The vampire elders believed that Eliza held the key to resurrecting their covenant and restoring their power. They had manipulated the recent murders in an attempt to draw her out, knowing that her sense of duty would lead her to uncover the truth. Eliza's internal struggle was palpable. She had left her past behind, and the prospect of embracing her bloodthirsty heritage haunted her. But she couldn't allow the covenant to be resurrected, and she couldn't let Detective Harker pay the price for her family's sins. With unwavering determination, Eliza made the ultimate sacrifice to ensure that the covenant remained dormant. She sealed the chamber, trapping the vampire elders inside, their power contained, but their thirst unquenched. The battle had taken its toll, and as they emerged from the chamber, Harker and Eliza could feel the weight of the town's dark history finally lifting. Blackwood would no longer be a haven for vampires, and the townsfolk could once again live without fear. As the sun rose over Blackwood, it marked the end of a nightmare and the beginning of a new chapter. Detective Harker and Eliza had confronted the consequences of their actions, and the town would forever be haunted by its shadowy past. In the end, the persistence of darkness had been thwarted, and redemption had prevailed. The story of Blackwood served as a chilling reminder that even in the bleakest of circumstances, redemption was possible, but it often came at a great cost. The shadows of the past could be confronted, and the darkness that once held a town in its thrall could be vanquished, allowing the light to pierce through once more. Crimson Moonrise. In the heart of an ancient, forgotten city, the moon cast a crimson hue upon the world. The air was heavy with the scent of blood, and secrets whispered through the night. Amongst the shadows, two souls danced a perilous waltz, each bound by a destiny they couldn't escape. Emily, a skilled vampire hunter with raven black hair and striking green eyes, had dedicated her life to ridding the world of the undead. Her family had been hunters for generations, and the weight of their legacy bore down on her shoulders. She had a secret, a deep and forbidden one, that threatened to unravel the very fabric of her existence. Victor, the enigmatic vampire prince with raven black hair and piercing blue eyes, bore the weight of a tragic past. His heart was heavy with the memories of a life lost to darkness, and he longed for redemption. He was fated to be hunted, to pay for the sins of his kind. But destiny had a twisted sense of humor. Emily's mission was clear: eliminate Victor, the vampire prince who had evaded her family's pursuit for centuries. She had been trained her entire life for this moment, the culmination of her family's vendetta. Yet, as the crimson moon bathed the graveyard in an eerie glow, their paths converged in a clandestine meeting. The moonlight spilled over Victor's figure as he emerged from the shadows, his eyes locking onto Emily. "You're quite the hunter," he mused, his voice a hypnotic melody that sent shivers down her spine. "But I sense a secret within you, something that goes beyond your family's vendetta." Emily clenched her crossbow, her hands trembling with a mix of fear and longing. The air between them was charged with an electric tension, a forbidden attraction that defied logic and reason. "Your fate is sealed, vampire," she whispered, her voice laced with determination. "I am here to end your reign of darkness." As they circled each other, the prophecy of a crimson moonrise weighed heavily on their minds. It was a cryptic omen that spoke of forbidden love, a love that could transcend the boundaries of life and death. Both Emily and Victor had heard the whispers, and neither could escape the ominous meaning of the prophecy. The graveyard transformed into a battleground, the clash of wills and desires echoing through the tombstones. Emily's crossbow met Victor's supernatural speed and strength, their dance a perilous blend of life and death. Each move was a testament to their prowess, their unyielding determination to fulfill their respective destiny. But destiny had other plans, plans that defied the very essence of their existence. As the crimson moon hung low in the sky, a realization washed over them like a tidal wave. Their fates were intertwined, a tapestry of love and vengeance that could not be unraveled. It was in the midst of their heated battle that Victor revealed the true nature of the prophecy. "Emily, our destinies are bound by an ancient curse," he confessed, his eyes filled with a mixture of sorrow and hope. "The prophecy speaks of a love that can break the cycle of darkness, a love that can save my soul from eternal damnation." Emily's resolve wavered as she looked into Victor's eyes, the depth of his pain and longing impossible to ignore. The centuries of darkness that weighed upon him were etched in the lines of his face, and the torment in his voice tugged at her heart. "Is such a love even possible, Victor?" she questioned, her voice trembling. "Can a vampire and a hunter find salvation in each other's arms?" Their breaths mingled in the moonlit graveyard, a breathless silence descending upon them. Emily's crossbow dropped to the ground, the weight of her family's vendetta slipping away. She couldn't deny the connection that had formed between them, a connection that transcended their roles as hunter and hunted. With a slow, deliberate movement, Victor approached Emily, his hand reaching out to caress her cheek. "It is a choice we must make, Emily," he murmured, his eyes never leaving hers. "A choice between love and duty, between salvation and damnation. Will you choose me, and the love that can break the cycle of darkness?" Emily's heart ached with the weight of her decision, the enormity of the choice before her. She had been trained to hunt, to eliminate the undead, but now, faced with the possibility of love and redemption, she stood at a crossroads. The crimson moon hung low in the sky, a silent witness to their choice. In that moonlit graveyard, where the boundaries of life and death blurred, Emily made her decision. She stepped closer to Victor, their lips meeting in a passionate, forbidden kiss. The world around them faded into oblivion, and in that moment, love conquered destiny. As their love blossomed in the shadow of the crimson moon, the prophecy's meaning became clear. It was not just a tale of forbidden love but a testament to the power of choice, the choice to break the cycle of darkness and find redemption in the most unexpected places. Their love story, written in the pages of an ancient prophecy, defied the very essence of their existence. In the heart of darkness, beneath the crimson moonrise, Emily and Victor found a love that transcended the boundaries of life and death, a love that would change their destinies and redefine the very nature of their world. The Cursed Relic. Dr. Amelia Van Helsing had always been drawn to the mysteries of the past. her life a relentless pursuit of knowledge. As a renowned vampire expert, she had dedicated her career to understanding the supernatural, but little did she know that her most harrowing adventure was about to begin. One fateful day, while exploring the depths of an ancient crypt buried beneath the shadowed earth, Amelia uncovered a relic hidden away from the world for centuries. The relic, a dark, ornate box, exuded a sinister aura that sent shivers down her spine. It was a relic that was better left untouched. But Amelia's insatiable curiosity knew no bounds. The moment her fingers brushed the surface of the relic, an ominous force awakened within. The crypt trembled, and a voice, ancient and filled with malice, echoed through the chamber. "You have released me, mortal. You shall be the instrument of my return." Amelia had unwittingly freed Lucius, an ancient vampire who had been imprisoned within the relic for centuries. His thirst for knowledge had led him to tamper with dark forces beyond his control, and in a cruel twist of fate, he had become imprisoned by the very powers he sought to harness. Lucius materialized before Amelia, his presence sending a cold chill through her veins. "You have awakened a curse that will consume the world. But there is a way to stop it," he declared, his eyes gleaming with a cryptic knowledge. Amelia, her heart heavy with dread, knew that she had no choice but to trust the very entity she had released. She was not only a vampire expert but also an archaeologist, and her skills in unraveling the mysteries of the past were now the world's only hope. Lucius revealed the relic's dark history, one that traced back to an ancient vampire cult. The cult had created the relic as a means to harness the powers of the supernatural. But in doing so, they had unleashed a malevolent force that threatened to engulf the world in darkness. Together, Amelia and Lucius embarked on a perilous journey to find the origins of the relic and, hopefully, a way to stop its dark power. The relic's malevolence extended beyond the crypt, casting a shadow that seemed to spread with each passing day. The world was on the brink of a supernatural catastrophe, and time was running out. Their journey took them to forgotten crypts, long-lost tombs, and archives filled with arcane knowledge. As they delved deeper into the dark secrets of the vampire cult, they encountered ancient texts that hinted at a possible solution. The relic, it seemed, had a weakness, a vulnerability that could be exploited. The ultimate confrontation with the relic's malevolent force was an ordeal that would test Amelia and Lucius to their limits. The relic possessed the ability to control the very elements, unleashing a torrent of darkness that threatened to engulf them. It was a battle of knowledge, a battle of wits against an entity that had existed for centuries. As they faced the relic, Amelia and Lucius uncovered its weakness, a hidden sigil that had the power to nullify the relic's dark magic. With their combined knowledge and determination, they managed to activate the sigil, weakening the relic's power. The world shuddered as the malevolent force began to retreat, its dark influence diminishing. In a final act of sacrifice, Lucius used his ancient vampire powers to imprison the relic once more, sealing it away from the world. The crypt trembled as the relic's power was quelled, and a chilling silence fell upon the chamber. Amelia and Lucius emerged from the crypt, the weight of their ordeal etched in their expressions. The world had been saved from the relic's dark power, but the consequences of tampering with the supernatural had left an indelible mark. The relic's curse had been stopped, but the memory of their journey would haunt them forever. As the relic lay imprisoned once more, Amelia realized the power of knowledge and the dangers that lurked in the pursuit of the unknown. She had faced the consequences of her curiosity and had been forced to make choices that would forever alter the course of her life. Lucius, too, had been given a chance at redemption, a chance to atone for the sins of his past. His thirst for knowledge had led him down a dark path, but in the end, he had used that very knowledge to save the world from the relic's curse. In the heart of the crypt, where the relic's malevolent force had once held sway, a sense of closure washed over them. The relic may have been sealed away, but the memory of their journey would forever remind them of the consequences of tampering with the supernatural and the power of knowledge, a power that could save or damn the world. Bloodlines. The Reynolds family had always believed they were ordinary, living their lives free from the shadows of the supernatural. However, their world would soon unravel, revealing a dark heritage they could never have imagined. It all began when they inherited an old, decrepit estate that had been in the family for generations. The estate, nestled amidst a dense, foreboding forest, was as imposing as it was mysterious. For the first time, the family would come to realize the sinister history of their lineage. The Reynolds family comprised of Daniel, the father, a diligent lawyer, Rachel, the mother, an artist with a penchant for the macabre, and their two children, Emily and Michael, who were still too young to comprehend the darkness that lurked beneath their family tree. Their journey into the depths of their dark heritage began with the arrival of Dr. Vanessa Thorne, a vampire scholar and an expert in supernatural legacy. Dr. Thorne had been contacted by the Reynolds family after they discovered a hidden compartment in the estate's library containing cryptic journals and documents. These papers hinted at a legacy that traced back to an ancient vampire bloodline. Dr. Thorne's expertise was vital in helping the family unravel the chilling truth about their ancestry. The first encounter with their vampiric ancestors came as the family explored the estate's hidden chambers, guided by Dr. Thorne's expertise. In the attic, they stumbled upon an old portrait of a couple who bore a striking resemblance to Daniel and Rachel. The eerie resemblance was uncanny, as if they were the very ancestors they had only just begun to understand. As they delved deeper into their family history, the truth about the curse's origins began to take shape. Their ancestors had been members of an ancient vampire coven, one that had reveled in the darkness of the supernatural. They had sought immortality and power at a terrible price. The curse had been passed down through the generations, one unsuspecting heir after another inheriting the vampiric bloodline. The coven's thirst for power had driven them to enact dark rituals, and the curse they had summoned was one that could only be broken by confronting their dark legacy. The estate held the key to breaking the curse, but it would require a desperate battle against the malevolent forces that had plagued their family for centuries. Dr. Thorne guided the Reynolds family as they uncovered the hidden rituals and incantations that would be their only hope. As the family gathered in the estate's grand hall, the malevolent presence of their vampiric ancestors began to manifest. The room seemed to grow colder, the shadows deepening as the ancestral spirits closed in. Their eyes gleamed with a hunger that had been sated by generations of innocence. In the final, desperate battle, the family chanted the incantations and performed the rituals they had uncovered. The air crackled with supernatural energy as the ancestors fought back, their spectral forms writhing with malevolence. It was a battle of wills, a battle to break the curse that had tormented their family for centuries. The spirits of the vampiric ancestors wailed in torment as the curse was finally broken, their power dissipating like smoke. The estate shook with the force of their departure, and the malevolent presence that had plagued the family for generations was banished. As the dust settled, the Reynolds family stood in the grand hall, exhausted but victorious. They had confronted their dark legacy, broken the curse, and liberated their family from the vampiric bloodline that had tormented them. Dr. Vanessa Thorne, her mission complete, took her leave, leaving the family with a newfound understanding of the ties that bound them. The experience had brought them closer, solidifying their familial bond in the face of darkness. The estate, once a place of mystery and malevolence, was transformed. The curse had been broken, and the shadows that had haunted its halls were gone. It was now a place of light and hope, a testament to the resilience of family and the strength of love. The Reynolds family had faced their darkest fears and emerged from the ordeal with a newfound appreciation for the ties that bound them. The legacy of their vampiric ancestors would forever be a part of their history, a reminder of the enduring power of family and the strength to confront one's legacy, no matter how dark it may be. The Veil Between Worlds. Alex was a seasoned paranormal investigator who had spent his life exploring the mysteries that lay beyond the veil of our reality. His insatiable curiosity had led him to the darkest corners of the supernatural, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to uncover. It all began with a cryptic journal he had acquired from a dusty antique shop. The journal contained references to a forgotten vampire world, one separated from our reality by an ancient curse. The entries described a veil that existed between the two realms, a fragile boundary that had held the malevolent creatures at bay for centuries. As Alex delved deeper into the journal's pages, he began to understand the implications of what he had discovered. The veil was not just a mystical barrier. It was a portal to an otherworldly kingdom inhabited by vampires who had been trapped by the curse. They hungered for freedom, and the journal spoke of their insidious plans to breach the veil and enter our world. Determined to investigate further, Alex followed the journal's clues, which led him to a crumbling, long-forgotten castle in the heart of an ancient forest. It was there that he would make a discovery that would change the course of his life forever. In the depths of the castle, hidden beneath layers of decay and darkness, he found Lady Seraphina, a vampire who had been trapped between the realms. Her beauty was ethereal, but her eyes held a sorrowful wisdom that spoke of centuries of confinement. She was a prisoner of the curse, unable to fully enter our world or return to her vampire kingdom. Lady Seraphina explained the curse and the malevolent creatures that sought to break free. As she spoke, the air grew heavy with the weight of the supernatural, and Alex felt the tendrils of an ancient, dark power. "Alex," she implored, "you must help me break the curse and seal the veil. The malevolent creatures are growing stronger, and if they breach the boundary, the consequences will be catastrophic for humanity." Alex hesitated, his curiosity pitted against the terrifying knowledge of what lay beyond the veil. The boundary between worlds was fragile, and the malevolent creatures on the other side hungered for freedom. It was a battle of curiosity and consequence, and he could not turn his back on the looming threat. Together, Alex and Lady Seraphina embarked on a desperate journey through the cursed realm, a place where time and space bent to the will of dark forces. The landscape was a nightmarish fusion of the familiar and the surreal, with grotesque creatures lurking in the shadows and an eerie, blood-red moon hanging low in the sky. Their quest led them to an ancient vampire citadel, a foreboding fortress that held the key to breaking the curse. The malevolent creatures, sensing their intrusion, launched relentless attacks, their supernatural abilities pushing Alex and Lady Seraphina to their limits. As they delved deeper into the vampire kingdom, they uncovered the ancient incantations and rituals needed to seal the veil and prevent the malevolent creatures from escaping. The curse had been born of dark magic, and it would take an equally powerful magic to undo it. In a climactic battle that shook the foundations of the vampire kingdom, Alex and Lady Seraphina faced the malevolent creatures. The air crackled with dark energy as they recited the incantations, the boundaries between the worlds growing thin. The malevolent creatures were relentless, their power fueled by centuries of rage and imprisonment. They sought to breach the veil and unleash their malevolence upon humanity. The battle raged on, and Alex and Lady Seraphina fought with every ounce of strength and determination they possessed. In a final, desperate act, they invoked a spell that would seal the veil once and for all. The malevolent creatures screamed in agony as the supernatural energies surged around them, their forms disintegrating into nothingness. The veil between worlds closed, sealing the malevolent creatures in their cursed realm. The vampire kingdom faded into the darkness, its malevolence vanquished. Alex and Lady Seraphina emerged from the cursed realm, the weight of their ordeal etched in their expressions. As they stood at the boundary between worlds, they knew that the curse had been broken, and the malevolent creatures were imprisoned once more. The veil held strong, safeguarding humanity from the malevolence that had threatened to breach the boundary. Lady Seraphina, her eyes filled with a mixture of gratitude and sadness, took her leave, returning to the vampire kingdom that was now a prison of her own making. She would remain there, guarding the veil and ensuring that the malevolent creatures would never escape. For Alex, the experience had been a chilling reminder of the consequences of curiosity. The veil between our world and the supernatural was fragile, and the cost of tampering with the unknown could be catastrophic. He had faced the malevolent creatures that sought to breach the boundary and had, with the help of Lady Seraphina, sealed the veil, preserving the safety of humanity. The veil between worlds served as a haunting testament to the delicate balance between curiosity and consequence. It was a reminder that the supernatural world held mysteries that were better left undiscovered, and the boundaries between our reality and the malevolent forces of the otherworldly were not to be trifled with. The Silent Coffin. Clara's life had always been filled with the warmth of sunlight, laughter, and the simple joys of existence. But as fate would have it, her world would soon plunge into darkness and uncertainty. It began with a mysterious ailment, an affliction that seemed to seep the life from her very bones. Her once vibrant spirit began to wither, and a haunting silence descended upon her, for her illness had stolen her voice. Clara's desperate search for a cure led her to a path she could never have imagined. The doctors were baffled, their diagnosis uncertain. The illness had no name, no known cure. Clara's family watched in despair as the light in her eyes dimmed, and her world grew colder and quieter with each passing day. Desperation drove Clara to seek answers beyond the boundaries of conventional medicine. She delved into the world of the supernatural, searching for tales of cures that lay beyond the realm of the living. It was in a dusty tome of legends and myths that she found a name that sent a shiver down her spine: Countess Isolde. The Countess was a reclusive vampire, said to possess the power to cure any ailment. Her abilities were the stuff of legend, whispered in hushed tones among those who believed in the supernatural. Clara knew that her only hope lay with Countess Isolde, but she was well aware of the perilous price that would accompany her salvation. In her quest to find the Countess, Clara's world became a haunting and tragic journey. She traversed dark forests, ventured into eerie crypts, and followed whispers that seemed to lead her deeper into a world of shadows and secrets. The closer she came to her destination, the more the world around her seemed to blur the lines between life and death. Her eerie encounter with Countess Isolde was a moment that would forever haunt her memory. The Countess was a woman of ethereal beauty, her raven black hair cascading like silk, and her eyes as piercing as the night. She exuded an air of mystery and melancholy, as if she had lived for centuries, and the weight of time rested heavily upon her shoulders. Countess Isolde listened as Clara's silent pleas were conveyed through handwritten notes. She examined her with a gaze that seemed to pierce her very soul, as if she could see the depths of Clara's suffering. With a slow, deliberate movement, the Countess extended a hand, and Clara could see the pulse of life that coursed through her veins, even in her undead state. "I can cure you," the Countess whispered, her voice a haunting melody, "but the price of your salvation is steep." Clara nodded, her eyes filled with desperation and a flicker of hope. She would give anything to regain her voice, to live a life free from the torment of her ailment. Countess Isolde revealed the cost of her salvation, a price that sent shivers down Clara's spine. In exchange for the cure, Clara would become bound to the Countess, her life entwined with the immortal vampire. She would become a silent guardian of the Countess, her voice forever silenced, her life marked by a haunting existence. The revelation about the cost of her salvation left Clara torn between two worlds. On one side lay the torment of her ailment, the silence that had stolen her voice, and the impending darkness that threatened to engulf her. On the other side lay the allure of a cure, the promise of a life free from suffering, but at the price of becoming a silent guardian of a reclusive vampire. Clara knew that her choice would come at a heavy cost, but the desperation to be free from her ailment was an overwhelming force. She made the perilous decision to accept Countess Isolde's offer, her heart heavy with the knowledge that her voice would forever be silenced. In a chilling ceremony that seemed to blur the lines between life and death, Clara became bound to the Countess. The transformation was eerie, the world around her shifting and twisting as her voice was stolen, her life forever changed. As the days passed, Clara's ailment slowly lifted, and her strength returned. She could feel the pulse of life coursing through her veins once more. But the cost of her salvation was a heavy burden to bear. She was now a silent guardian of the Countess, her existence a haunting and tragic reminder of the choices made in the face of desperation. In the dark, silent nights, Clara could hear the whispers of her own voice, a voice that had been stolen but never truly silenced. She had become a living ghost, a shadow of her former self, forever bound to the Countess in a world where the line between life and death was thin. The silent coffin served as a chilling reminder of the consequences of desperate choices. It was a tale of a life forever altered, of a voice forever silenced, and the price one was willing to pay to escape the torment of their affliction. The boundaries between life and death were blurred, and Clara's existence became a haunting and tragic testament to the choices made in the face of desperation. The Midnight Express. Jack had always been a man of routine and order. His life was predictable, with schedules and plans to keep him grounded in the world he knew. But on a fateful night, he would find himself on a journey that defied all reason and plunged him into the depths of the supernatural. It was a midnight like any other when Jack found himself standing alone on a desolate train platform, the hushed whispers of the wind the only company he had. The train that awaited him was unlike any he had seen before, a ghostly locomotive that seemed to shimmer with an eerie light. It was the Midnight Express, a fabled train that carried passengers through the supernatural realm. With a sense of trepidation, Jack boarded the Midnight Express, and the moment the doors closed behind him, he knew that there was no turning back. The interior of the train was a surreal and disorienting landscape, with carriages that seemed to stretch into infinity, each one a world of its own. The passengers on the Midnight Express were a motley crew, each one seemingly plucked from a different time and place. There were the specters of Victorian-era aristocrats, spectral children who played with ghostly toys, and shadowy figures who moved with a sense of purpose that sent shivers down Jack's spine. But it was the conductor who drew Jack's attention, an enigmatic figure with a face that seemed to shift and change like a specter in the mist. The conductor controlled the train's eerie journey, his eyes cold and emotionless as he observed the passengers with a detached gaze. As the train moved through the supernatural realm, the landscape outside the windows was a nightmarish fusion of the familiar and the surreal. Jack saw cities that rose and fell like ancient empires, forests that whispered with the voices of the dead, and skies filled with phantasmal creatures that defied the laws of nature. It soon became clear that the Midnight Express was a world of its own, a never-ending ride through the realms of the supernatural. Time and space twisted and warped, leaving Jack in a perpetual state of disorientation and unease. The other passengers seemed unfazed by the surreal journey, lost in their own worlds of torment and despair. Jack realized that the train was a prison, a place where the unending nature of terror was a torment that had no escape. Jack's unease deepened as he began to uncover the conductor's dark secrets. The malevolent plans that he had for the passengers became clear as he fed on their fear and despair, growing stronger with each passing moment. Desperate to escape the Midnight Express, Jack sought out a group of passengers who had formed a small resistance. They shared stories of the conductor's malevolence and his insidious control over the train. They had tried to escape, but each attempt had ended in failure. Their memories erased as they were forced to relive the journey over and over again. The battle to escape the train's clutches was a harrowing ordeal, with the conductor's spectral presence always looming. Jack and the other passengers faced trials and tribulations that tested their strength and resolve. It was a battle against an unending nightmare, a fight to break free from the supernatural prison that was the Midnight Express. The passengers' attempts to escape the train were met with surreal and disorienting challenges. They faced a shifting labyrinth of carriages, each one a world of its own, with horrors that defied reason and sanity. Time and space twisted and turned, leading them in circles, and the malevolent presence of the conductor was a constant, haunting reminder of their captivity. As the resistance grew stronger, Jack uncovered the key to breaking free from the Midnight Express. It was a dark and perilous ritual, one that involved facing their deepest fears and confronting the malevolence that had imprisoned them. In a climactic battle against the conductor, the passengers enacted the ritual, their strength and determination pushing back the malevolent force that had bound them. The train's eerie journey began to unravel, its supernatural realm disintegrating. With a final surge of will, Jack and the other passengers broke free from the Midnight Express, their bodies and souls thrust back into the world of the living. The train, once a place of torment and despair, disappeared into the darkness, its malevolence vanished. As Jack stood on the train platform, his heart heavy with the weight of his ordeal, he knew that the Midnight Express was a chilling testament to the fear of the unknown. It was a reminder that the line between the supernatural and the real world was thin, and the consequences of venturing into the unknown could be catastrophic. The Midnight Express was a place of unending terror, a train that carried passengers through the realms of the supernatural, where time and space twisted and warped, and the malevolent conductor fed on their fear and despair. It was a journey that defied reason and reality, a nightmare that had no escape. Jack's experience on the Midnight Express served as a haunting and surreal reminder of the unending nature of terror and the line between the known and the unknown. The Elixir of Immortality. Dr. Victor had always been a man of science, a dedicated researcher whose ambition knew no bounds. His obsession with unlocking the secrets of life and death had driven him to the edge of ethical boundaries. But it was a chance encounter that would plunge him into a world of darkness and ambition beyond his wildest dreams. It was on a moonlit night when Victor, deep in the throes of his research, stumbled upon Alina, a woman whose ageless beauty and enigmatic aura piqued his curiosity. She appeared as a phantom in the night, her presence haunting and surreal. Their fateful meeting led to a conversation that would change the course of Victor's life. Alina revealed herself to be a vampire, an immortal being who held the key to eternal life. Her offer was alluring but came with a sinister pact, the elixir of immortality in exchange for an alliance with a darkness beyond reckoning. Victor, consumed by his ambition and the allure of immortality, agreed to Alina's terms. The elixir was a concoction of shadow and blood, a fluid that pulsed with an otherworldly energy. As he drank it, he felt a surge of power and life coursing through his veins, the years melting away from his aging body. But the elixir's dark nature soon revealed itself, and Victor's once ambitious life became an unending existence marked by a thirst for the life force of others. He had become a vampire himself, bound by the sinister pact he had made with Alina. The revelation of the elixir's true nature was a haunting moment for Victor. He had sought eternal life, but the cost of his ambition was far greater than he could have imagined. He was now a creature of the night, feeding on the living to sustain his own existence. As the years turned into centuries, Victor's thirst for life force grew insatiable, and his once ambitious nature had been twisted into an unending hunger for the vitality of others. He watched the world change around him, witnessing the passage of time with a detachment that grew with each passing year. Victor's alliance with Alina was a burden he could not escape, and he realized that the elixir of immortality had come at a price he was unwilling to pay. The consequences of unchecked ambition had left him trapped in an existence of eternal hunger and solitude. The perils of eternal life weighed heavy on Victor's shoulders, a cautionary tale of ambition without boundaries. He had been lured by the allure of immortality, only to find himself trapped in an unending nightmare. The elixir of immortality had promised life without end, but it had come at a cost that he could never have foreseen. As the centuries passed, Victor's unending existence became a torment, a reminder of the consequences of his unchecked ambition. He was a creature of the night, a vampire whose thirst for life force had turned him into a predator of the living. The elixir of immortality had given him eternal life, but it had also stripped away his humanity, leaving him a shadow of his former self. The elixir of immortality served as a chilling reminder of the perils of eternal life and the consequences of ambition without boundaries. Victor's ambition had driven him to make a sinister pact with a vampire, a choice that had led him into an existence of eternal hunger and solitude. It was a cautionary tale of the true cost of unchecked ambition and the price one could pay for seeking immortality. The Veiled Society. Mark had always been a journalist with a penchant for uncovering the hidden truths of the world. He thrived on exposing secrets and bringing the dark corners of society into the light. But it was his curiosity and thirst for the truth that would lead him down a treacherous path into a world he could never have imagined. It all began with whispers and rumors, tales of a secret society that operated in the shadows, wielding power and influence that went far beyond the understanding of ordinary citizens. Mark's investigation led him deeper into the hidden world of this powerful vampire society that controlled the city from behind the veils of secrecy. The Veiled Society was a complex network of the city's elite, a group that maintained a facade of normalcy while pulling the strings of power from the shadows. Mark had heard whispers of their existence, stories of political manipulation, and the puppeteering of influential figures, but he needed concrete evidence to expose the truth. His journey into the world of the Veiled Society began with the infiltration of their masquerade ball, a lavish event where the city's elite gathered under the cover of anonymity. Mark donned a mask and elegant attire, blending seamlessly into the sea of elaborate costumes and enchanting masks. As he moved through the crowd, Mark couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. The guests, though masked, exuded an air of otherworldly charm and elegance. The atmosphere was electric, and the seductive allure of the society's members left Mark both captivated and cautious. It was there that Mark met Cassandra, a woman whose beauty and charm seemed to transcend the boundaries of humanity. Her eyes held a depth of knowledge and a seductive power that left Mark entranced. She was a high-ranking vampire within the society, and her presence exuded an aura of danger. Cassandra offered Mark a glimpse into the society's inner workings, hinting at their dark agenda. She spoke of their control over political figures, the manipulation of events, and their insatiable thirst for power. But her seductive words were laced with an ominous warning. The society did not take kindly to intruders. Mark's investigations had always been about exposing the truth, but the world he had entered was a dangerous and politically charged one. He had uncovered the dark secrets of the Veiled Society, but he was now entangled with Cassandra, a figure who held the key to his survival in this treacherous world. As Mark delved deeper into the society's hidden agenda, he discovered their involvement in a sinister plan that would have far-reaching consequences for the city and its inhabitants. Their thirst for power knew no bounds, and the consequences of their actions were chilling. The revelation of the society's dark agenda sent shivers down Mark's spine. He realized that he was playing a dangerous game, one where the consequences of revealing the truth were dire. The power and influence of the Veiled Society extended far beyond what he had ever imagined, and he was now a target within their midst. Mark's race to expose the truth and escape the clutches of the society became a perilous journey through the shadows of the city. He had uncovered their nefarious plans, but he knew that his life was in grave danger. As the city's influential figures moved like pawns on a chessboard, Mark fought to reveal the truth to the world. He sought allies in the most unexpected of places, individuals who were willing to risk everything to expose the hidden influences that controlled society. The Veiled Society was a haunting reminder of the hidden powers that manipulated the world from the shadows. Mark's journey had led him into a treacherous world where the consequences of revealing the truth were dire. It was a cautionary tale of the perils of exposing the hidden influences in society, and the sacrifices one had to make in the name of truth. The truth could set you free, but it could also seal your fate.